They have different ways of getting there, but their heart for each other is actually very much aligned. We can avoid a lot of frustrations, both within ourselves and in our relationships, when we're able to make these distinctions. Our preferences are not hills that we're willing to die on, but our convictions are. And so know your battles, protect your peace, and fight for the things that actually matter, and have the wisdom then to yield to those things that don't. Not every hill is worth dying on, and all too often we're willing to suffer these 1,000 small deaths for things that actually don't matter in the long run. When we stop to think about our latest fights in marriage or at work or at church, they often have to do more with our taste than what is actually true. We prefer things a certain way, and so we're fighting and bickering about those things that actually doesn't matter in the long run. This is not to suggest that there's not a place for opinions and to be passionate about those opinions, but it's helpful to make a distinction between what our preference is and what our convictions are. Our preferences are things that we hold loosely, where our convictions are things that we hold tightly. Our preferences are not hills that we're willing to die on, per se, but our convictions are. And making this distinction brings clarity and peace into our life and relationships. This is a point I often make with many of my clients as they come in fighting about any number of things. And as I listen to them, the heart of what they're looking for are actually very much aligned. They have different ways of getting there, but their heart for each other is actually very much aligned. And so quality time is one of the things they often fight about. One may want to spend quality time out at a fancy restaurant or a social event, while the other may prefer to spend quality time at home watching a movie or just snuggling on the couch together. They both want the same thing. They're both convicted about spending quality time with each other, but they have different preferences, different tastes of how to work that out. But without this distinction, they're often fighting about their preferences and actually getting to the point where they feel like the other doesn't love them. That you don't love me because you never want to spend time with me. It's not that they don't love you. It's not that they don't want to spend time with you. They just have a different way of doing that. And so being able to make that distinction helps us to see, oh, you do love me. You just love me and expressing it in a different way. That doesn't mean I have to give up my preference per se, but we do need to listen deeper. Do you actually love me and care for me, and you're just expressing it in a different way, or is there a true lack of love there? And often there is a true love there. We're just expressing it in a different way. This can play out in the bedroom as well, where some clients are more adventurous and want to hang from the chandeliers, as it were, while others are okay with enjoying the sweet savor of vanilla intimacy. And neither are wrong. They're just different modes of expression, different preferences for their sexual life together. And so their conviction is that we want to enjoy our sexual life together. We want to honor our covenant of marriage together and fully express ourselves sexually with each other. But what does that look like? Again, we have different preferences of what that looks like, and we don't have to fight or bicker about those preferences. Certainly, we can have good conversations about those preferences. We learn a lot about ourselves by discussing and sorting through what we like and what we don't like. At the same time, sorting through that doesn't mean that we die on that particular hill, that if we don't express it in this way, then we're done. And preferences, again, are something that we hold loosely. Our convictions are something that we hold tightly. And so our conviction in these examples might mean to have an active sex life. That's conviction. That is something, a reasonable expectation for marriage is to have an active sex life. How that expresses itself within marriage, again, there's a lot of variety there. Same with quality time, that we're convicted that we need to spend quality time with each other, but what that looks like, again, there could be a lot of variety there. We can avoid a lot of frustrations, both within ourselves and in our relationships, when we're able to make these distinctions. When we don't, we bring unnecessary frustration and heartache into our dance with each other because we're fighting about things that actually don't matter in the long run. That whether, again, we go out to eat or stay in to eat, in the long run, how much does that matter? Yes, I can honor those differences. And so it's not, I'm going to just fight for my own preferences and ignore yours because it, quote unquote, doesn't matter. I can still honor that, but I'm honoring it as a preference, not as the gospel truth that we have to do it that way or you have to do it my way. That both are valid in their own way. But with this distinction, we have more freedom and flexibility with our preferences. Because we're not holding them so tightly, we have the freedom to express ourselves in different ways. But also because we know our convictions, we know those things that can become deal breakers. That if we give up on our convictions, we're compromising something true and essential to who God has called us to be and the life that He's called us to live. And that If we compromise on that level, that leads to resentment and bitterness in the long run, and that's not okay. And so we want clarity to be able to hold tightly to our convictions, but again, to be able to hold loosely to our preferences. Not every battle is worth fighting, but the ones that are, we can fight with everything we got. And so when we know our convictions, we can fight to hold on for those things that truly matter and then let go of those things that don't. And so know your battles, protect your peace, and fight for the things that actually matter, and have the wisdom then to yield to those things that don't. If this resonates with you, then like and subscribe and share with other men who might need help distinguishing which battles to fight in their own life and relationships. And then check out this next video and let's continue the conversation about how we can rise and reign together as kingdom men throughout our life and relationships. Check that out here.